In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace and, in our case, upgrade the fog lights on this Ford F-150. We're going to be putting these projector fog lights in. They also have halos on them, so I'm going to show you how to wire it all in. Let's get started. From inside the wheel well, you can see where the fog lights are connected. Just unplug this connector by pulling down or pulling away on these two tabs and then down on the whole connector. This is how you unplug the bulb. Sometimes these are going to be stuck in here just from sand buildup, but I think I got it. There we go, just work it back and forth. As you can see, there's a lot of sand. Always check these connections for corrosion because they're here, they're in the open, so they do corrode often. One more thing we have to do here is release this adjuster. This is how you adjust your fog light beam. However, we need to pull this down, separate it from here, because this is another mounting location for the fog light. Take a Phillips head screwdriver and just unscrew it all the way. Take this out, remove the spring. Now you'll notice that there are tabs that look like this on both sides. You can easily pry these away and push the fog light, and this is going to allow it to come out through the front, just like this. Pull the fog light right out. On your new fog light, remove this adjuster screw, just like we did for the original one. Set that aside, make sure the spring stays with it. Feed it through the front. It's going to be marked top, and of course, that's going to have to be at the top. Press it in. You want to make sure it clicks. Now from the back side, take the spring, slide it in here. I'm going to try and hold it with the pressure of the fog light. Slide the screw through and start it on to its mounting point right here. Of course, we're going to have to adjust the beam of the fog lights later. However, for now, I'm just going to try and get it as close as possible to it being even, level with the ground. Here's the original wiring with these new fog lights. You'll see that the connector doesn't plug straight into the bulb. The bulb is encased in here. You're provided with a connector over here that has wires on it. Make sure you connect it the right way so that it can lock in. Slide it in. Make sure it clicks. You can wire tie this out of the way. I will in a little bit because now we actually have to wire in the halos. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I recommend wiring them into the parking lights, or you can wire them into the fog lights if you want, and the wires for that are right here. But again, I'm going to wire them into the parking lights so that when I turn on the parking lights, the halos on the fog lights come on. Now with the fog light physically installed, let's wire up that halo. It's easy to just plug in the bulb, and if you want to stop there, that's fine. You just have regular fog lights just like you did, except these might be a little better. However, I want to plug in the halo, like I said, to turn on with the marker light. So if you reach right down here on the headlight, it's a little difficult to see, especially once I put my hand in there. I can't even see, but I'll show you the connector once I unplug it. All you have to do is press on the tab and pull it out and come through the backside here, and this is the connector that you're looking for. It's a brown connector with 3 wires. The green and wet wire is going to be for your turn signal, but the black is the common ground and the brown is the marker light signal. So these are the two that we're going to tap into. Don't do this one. If you connect it to this one, it's going to blink the halo with your turn signal. And obviously that's not what we're going for. Having said that, there are multiple ways of doing this. You can cut the wire, splice into it, and then put another wire in there. Or you can use these wire taps, which usually are not my favorite, and I like to stay away from them. However, in this case, it is the most efficient thing because not only do you not cut this wire, but it takes less time. And I definitely don't want to cut into this wire. I would have to unravel the harness and everything. These are going to make things a lot easier and will not completely interrupt the signal from the original wire. One more thing you'll want is some wire. I have this wire that is used, but it's still in very good condition. I know they're both red. Ideally, you'd have one red, one black, but this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use. A little pro tip is to add some silicone paste anywhere where there's an electrical connection that is exposed to the elements. This is going to be wide open here, so I definitely want to add silicone paste to it. Again, we're going to tap into the black and the brown wires. I'm going to start with the brown one because it's in the middle and it'll be more difficult to reach. Unfortunately, I do have to cut back some of this insulation here because it comes up a little too far. And I know I said I don't want to, but I have to. Be very careful when you do this. You don't want to cut the wire. And we don't need to go very far, just like an inch or so. Just enough to get some extra space here. Now we have a little more space to work with here, or wire length, I should say. I'm going to start in the middle, like I said, with the brown wire. The way you want to use these is I put silicone paste on it, just like I recommended. The wire that you are tapping into is going to go on the first slot. You'll notice that one of the slots is going to be capped off. I'm actually going to put it this way so I can feed the other wire from below. You do not have to strip the head of the wire that you were tapping with. Feed it until it bottoms out. Again, it's capped off on the other side. Don't go too close to the connector. Try to go about halfway down here. I know I'm getting silicone paste all over, but that's okay. Once you've established the spot that you want to tap into, just clamp this down. Our brown wire is thinner than the red one, so it actually didn't squeeze that through. However, if you grab some pliers, I'm just going to take this and squeeze it down. Okay, I felt it latch in. If you move it, it shouldn't want to move around. Both of the two wires should be locked in. I'm going to leave this one over here for now, and let's tap the other one the same exact way. I'm going to try and stagger them a little bit. That way they are not bundled up in one large chunk of wire. Okay, once you're happy with where this one is positioned, squeeze it down all the way, and these are good to go. I'm just going to plug the connector back in and then we'll run our wires down. Okay, make sure that clicks. On the ends of these wires, we have to put a terminal or a connector. I'm using bullet connectors because that's what matches the other wires that come with the fog light. So make sure you have the correct size for the right gauge wire. Put it in here and crimp it down. Okay, that's one. Make sure it's a good tight crimp. You don't want this to come loose. I also put a bunch of silicone paste on here. As always, with exposed electrical connectors, I recommend it. Now just run the wires down. I'm just going to run them along the headlight. Down here by the fog light, let's plug in our halos, and I made sure that I remembered which wire does which. This is going to be our power wire. I traced it from up there at the headlight, so plug that into the red connector, and this one is our ground wire. So plug that into the black one. When you plug these in, make sure they seat all the way. I loaded these up with some silicone paste, and of course I'm going to put electrical tape around them. But everything is plugged in now. Let's just secure the harness. You can do this however you want. Use some wire ties, some electrical tape. Just make sure it's out of the way because the tire will be in this area. And as you turn or go over bumps, you don't want this to get caught up and ripped off. Okay, I put electrical tape in several places here. Now let's just tie the wires off, loop them around like this, and then add this connector to the harness as well as the rest of the wires here, and then use a wire tie. Secure them all together so that it's out of the way of everything. Okay, cut off the excess of the wire tie. And there you have it. It's installed. Now let's test them out. I have the parking lights on, and on the fog lights, the halos are on both sides. So now let's turn on the actual fog lights. Okay, headlights are on, and fog lights. Perfect, everything works great. Again, adjust your beam if necessary.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.